genre.
Hello and welcome back to the Doctor's Companion presents Doctor Who, The Long Way Round, the weekly podcast where we review and discuss every episode of Doctor Who, one doctor at a time. I'm Nick Jimenez.
I'm Scott Corelli.
And I'm Cass Fredrickson.
Today on the show, we'll be discussing The Runaway Bride, the 10th Doctor's 11th story. Scott, I had a question for you. How long ago did we do our Christmas special bracket?
Like 3 years ago.
Okay. I watching this, not only could I vividly remember the episode, I remember like what I talked about the last time I talked about this.
Yeah.
And I was like, why do I feel like we just did this? I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was
a while ago.
It was either Christmas 2021 or 2020. I don't remember which.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was either 3 or 4 years ago. The Runaway Bride, written by Russell T Davies, of course, directed by Euros Lyn, the infamous director of season 2's Idiot's Lantern and Fear Her. What a double feature. Euros Lyn is a director who, when given a really good script, knocks it out of the park.
Yes.
And when given a poor script, fails to elevate it in any way at all whatsoever.
Yes.
He is a real hit and miss kind of guy. Real script dependent, Euros Lyn as a director. This is the second Christmas special, which was ordered by the BBC as a surprise to Russell T Davies. He thought that the Christmas invasion was just going to be like a fun little fluke, and BBC was like, "No, we got numbers, motherfucker! Like we got numbers. So this isn't a fluke. This isn't a one-off. This is an annual tradition now." Originally, The Runaway Bride was the 6th episode of series 2. And it would feature Rose and the Doctor dealing with this, like, what if a bride ended up in the TARDIS randomly, and like, what is all of that? And, thinking about this story, you can picture this just being like a random episode, because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think this might be the least Christmassy of all of the Christmas specials.
I agree with that.
Yeah, like the Christmas aspect of it is like real, like tacked on. It feels like, yeah.
It's really just the Santas.
Right. You have the Santas, which is just sort of a rerun of what they did last year.
And the ornament bombs.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the ornament bombs.
Yeah.
And the trees and the spinning trees.
Right. So it's a lot of callbacks to the previous one, and whatnot. But like, yeah, I think it's a pretty lackluster in terms of like the Christmas of it all, which I think we mentioned that in our, where we're like, it's a good episode, but like Christmassy, I don't know if it should really get that high on this bracket. But
my mind is blown thinking about Donna being introduced as like a one-off, like her interacting and bouncing off of Rose the whole episode is really making my brain tingle.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the BBC ordered a Christmas special, Russell T Davies was like, okay, maybe we'll move Runaway Bride to that slot, because it's sort of like the most like fluffy fun episode of season 2. We'll push it there because that feels Christmassy, fluffy fun. and the fluffy fun where the
doctor does a genocide.
Fluffy fun. And and so so this was moved to Christmas, and instead he conceived of a little episode called Tooth and Claw, and that ultimately replaced this story in the production run, ultimately becoming the second episode of the new season. So we have very early on, Davies was convinced, like, okay, like if we're gonna do this, because I think, Nick, originally Catherine Tate was not going to be this character. When it was just like a random season 2 episode, it was just going to be like some random guest star of like whoever. But it became Catherine Tate when it became a Christmas special, and he knew that he didn't want to introduce a new companion in this episode, ironically. Because guess what, buddy? You did. He didn't want to introduce the new companion in this, and so he was like, yeah, let's get like a heavy hitter, like big guest star that people would be excited about. Catherine Tate was like at the height of her sort of comedy career because of like the Catherine Tate Show and all of that. So he like met her for coffee and was like, hey, would you want to be on Doctor Who? And she was like, no. What? I'm a comedian. Why would I be on Doctor Who? And then like he sort of pitched the episode to her, and she was like, well, what's the character's name? And he was like, Donna, like literally came up with it on the spot because he hadn't written the script yet. So he had just like been thinking of her as like the Runaway Bride, the titular Runaway Bride, and had not given the character a name yet. And so named her Donna on the spot in his meeting with Catherine Tate.
That's awesome.
And she was like, okay, all right, sure. He's like, cool. So in order to do this, we actually need you on set in like 2 weeks because we have to shoot the end of the finale. And so that was actually shot months before the rest of the episode. And in fact, he wrote that little like tee off of like a bride in the TARDIS before he even knew what that meant or how to explain it. Yeah. So, so he wrote that, they filmed it. It was very secretive. And then they started shooting the episode. They started shooting like, B-roll of like, the car chase, which was something that Russell T Davies had imagined as a child, being like a big fan of Doctor Who. He would like sit in the car, in his parents' car, being driven like, on vacation, to be on some long trip, and they'd be on the highway. And he would just like, imagine if like the TARDIS just came flying up and was like with us, with the car. And it was like a car chase with the TARDIS. Wow, that would be amazing. And he never dropped it. And in fact, it was going to be how the Doctor was going to be introduced into the episode School Reunion, because it was going to start with Sarah Jane Smith being kidnapped in a car, and then the TARDIS showing up and her being like, holy shit, it's the Doctor.
That's awesome.
Which would have been awesome. But it was like, it didn't quite fit. And Toby Woodhouse is like, this is such a cool moment, Russell, but like with what we're doing with this school and everything, it just doesn't feel right. I don't know why she's being kidnapped. It's just, it doesn't really work. So then he plucked it out of that and put it right into this episode. But yeah, they were shooting B-roll starting on July 4th of 2006. And then the rest of the David Tennant and Catherine Tate joined the production on the 6th. And the first thing that they shot, were going to shoot, was a scene where the Doctor and Donna were going to be talking about everything that's happened so far in the episode in a park. And it was going to be like a chill scene where they're just like hanging out and vibing and whatever. And they realized that since the finale was going to air on July 8th, revealing Catherine Tate being part of the Christmas special, they didn't want to shoot in a park because they were afraid that like people would see and that they would realize that Catherine Tate was going to be on Doctor Who and it was going to be a big deal. And that also that like, you know, like Billie Piper's gone and like, yeah, there's like a whole thing. And so they were like, okay, like what do we do? And this is the thing where it's like Euros Lyn, great director when he has a great script. He came up with the idea of what if we shoot this on a roof?
So good.
And so, yeah. And so they moved the scene from a park to a rooftop where no one can see them shooting and no one can see that Catherine Tate is in it. And then by the time that they got to the you know, starting on the 9th, that's when they started shooting like location shooting and everything. And then because everyone already knew that Catherine Tate was going to be in the Christmas special. So worked out pretty well. And then the show, the filming wrapped up, and Catherine Tate was like, "That's the most fun I've ever had making anything. If you ever want me back, don't hesitate to call me up." And that he did 1 year later. But that would. But first, Martha Jones. Yeah. So that's it. That's the Runaway Bride. It's really that simple. Everyone in this thought they were only going to be in this one episode. In the case of Donna's father, that was true. But you know, Sylvie comes back and
Maris.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. That's the Runaway Bride. Nothing crazy, but a fun sort of behind the scenes detailing anyway. So Runaway Bride.
Yes.
We talked about it not being super Christmassy. We did very recently talk about it in the holiday special tournament bracket special only 3 or 4 years ago. Revisiting it this time, any new thoughts came to mind for anybody or feelings or anything like that? Cass, what do you think?
I think watching this post the 14 specials was really interesting.
Yeah.
Because like, and I don't remember what I did 2 weeks ago, let alone 3 years ago. So I don't remember if I talked about this in the holiday bracket. But the very first time I saw this episode, I did not like it. I did not like Donna. I don't know. But I feel like the more I watch it, especially post 14, the more appreciation I have for it. It is very fun despite the genocide of it all. The actress playing that Spider Queen lady is like hamming it up, and I love that for her.
Yeah.
But I like that it I like that Russell T kind of just like as far as like how the wrap up with 14 felt like she invites him to Chris like to have dinner with her family, and like that's what we end on in like those specials, you know, like the Doctor finally sitting down to have like dinner with Donna's family, and like by extension his family, and like I don't think I've ever consciously thought about Doctor Who as a found family narrative, but like that's what I feel like that's what Donna like brings to the table. Like, because like the Doctor doesn't really stick around, but like that's kind of like the Doctor's whole thing. Like they're constantly like looking for people who like they can like mutually like bring out the best in each other, you know? And I love that Donna shows up when the Doctor needs her the most, like repeatedly. Like, you know, he just lost Rose, and then like here's Donna,
right?
You know, so I love that. I love that this is supposed to be a one-off, and then it becomes so important later on.
Yeah,
in the most like organic way,
Yes.
which is just that Catherine Tate was like, I love doing that, and Russell T Davies was like, well, I loved writing that character, and the fans were like, we love Donna, and by the time you get to the giggle, it feels like this really lovely organic, like, yeah, she kind of quietly became like this really important person in the Doctor's life.
I seem to remember at the time that nobody liked Donna.
Oh, really?
Like everybody hated her in this episode.
Oh.
Yeah, because she's very like brash and bratty and like,
Yeah.
annoying by design, right? It's almost like inadvertently Russell T Davies gave Donna the arc that the Sixth Doctor always wanted to have. But like, yeah, I don't remember people liking Catherine Tate's character like at the time, and I remember there being sort of a wash of disappointment when she was announced as the fourth series companion. Until you get to the end, and then everyone is like she won everybody over, I think, even by the end of the fourth series. But I don't remember. I feel like everyone was like, oh God, like brace for impact, everybody. This is going to be a rough ride.
I don't know. I feel like because Partners in Crime is so charming that like by the end of that episode, I'm like, yeah, okay, Donna's cool.
Right. Yeah, because she's like chiller. She's more humble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes sense. Nerds really don't like characters that like are mean to their dad. I mean, main character of the show.
True. It's true.
That tracks, I guess, the logic of that.
Yeah. She's also just like kind of shrill.
I
think
she's
like very shouty.
Like coming at it from like someone who was watching Doctor Who for the first time, like Rose is like my first companion.
Mm-hmm.
And then like okay, like I'm accustomed to the Doctor leaving, but then like, oh no, like that's like my homegirl,
Right.
Then it's just like, oh, okay, so who's this?
Who's this?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, she's just, I don't know, she's very shouty in this, but like the soft moments really work.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like this episode works the best in retrospect.
Yes.
Yeah. Of like tracking their story backward, and like we are, like you're talking about with the 14 specials.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like really cool to see where they began, and I find it even more interesting now that like this episode literally ends with Donna being like, oh no, that's not for me, no thank you. And the next time we see her, she was like, I made a horrible mistake. It absolutely is for me. It's all I can think about. I can't stop thinking about it. Please, 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 please come back. It's great. I don't know. I like that because that's relatable, like being like, no. Well,
and I feel bad for Donna because like, think about her perspective, and she says it so lovely. And it's such a well-written thing, and Catherine Tate plays it so beautifully of like, you scare the shit out of me, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're Mr. Cute, floppy man with a suit and a smile, and then you like do a genocide and you don't even blink, and now you expect me to just like be swept off my feet, and the Doctor's like, oh, no one's ever really put it to me like that before.
Yeah. That's why they need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's like she's an adult. Like Rose was 19 when she met the Doctor, and Donna is much more like she's had some shitty jobs, she's had bad relationships, and she's just like she feels like much more of like of lived in human than Rose was allowed to at first.
Yeah. Rose was a lot more of an empty slate. Like she had like her one thing that she was dealing with, which was like her dad's dead.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the only thing. Wow. In retrospect, it makes a lot more sense that people saw a romance between her and the Ninth Doctor.
They have really good chemistry.
Yeah, but also daddy issues.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, let's get into the breakdown for this one.
Mm-hmm. So Donna ends up in the TARDIS, but prior to that, she is walking down the aisle ready to get married at her Christmas Eve wedding, which I love. That. And she starts glowing, and then she screams, and then she ends up in the TARDIS.
Well, she was always glowing.
Oh, yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor is...
I don't remember. Do they retcon it that Wilf is not at the wedding because he's like, no, I don't believe in this. I don't approve of this marriage, because he like had the feeling that like this guy was no good.
I don't remember. I think maybe he was like but like, yeah, no, he absolutely would be at her wedding. So like, I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah.
He wakes up and it looks at his old timey like alarm clock. Oh no, Wolf, you done it this time. You overslept. Oh, Donna's wedding you have.
Bless.
But then the doctor like spends the rest of the spends the episode trying to figure out why Donna is in the TARDIS. I like the scene where she opens the door and she's like confronted with space, which is like existentially horrifying. I think in retrospect I empathize a lot with Donna, because if this happened to me on my wedding day, I too would be yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Like, what? And that too kind of feels like she's such a cool little rebuke of the Rose method, which is like, wow, this guy, he came out of nowhere and swept me. Get me the hell out of here. I have my own thing going on, dude. Like, this is creepy as hell.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like that, like, this is really the story about how the doctor inadvertently saves her from making a horrible mistake.
Yes. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
And then, like, because we did the RTD bracket not long ago, and I rewatched Turn Left, and like the importance of Donna being there in like when the doctor needs her is like, I love that Russell T just keeps coming back to that. But there's I really like the like shenanigans, like they're trying to catch a taxi. Like, it is very funny.
Yeah. The doctor like
and their
robbing
chemistry
an
is
ATM
just so
machine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a Christmas miracle. And I like the car chase scene. I think that's one of my rewatching it. That was one of my favorite things, because I love the kids in that backseat of the car, like silently rooting for Donna to like jump into the TARDIS and stuff.
And it's so much more lovely now that, that anecdote you shared, Scott, is like, there's a joyfulness to that whole sequence.
Yeah.
And it kicks ass.
Yeah.
Santa's a robot.
Does Russell T have a beef with Christmas trees?
I don't know.
Because that's like a running, like in the most recent one in the church on Ruby Road, like there's the Christmas tree almost like kills a woman,
Oh yeah, that's true. Almost falls on her like
Well, it
that,
does.
that Alf statue in
Yeah.
Curse of Peladon.
The man secretly hates Christmas.
Oh, that's his secret.
That's a secret.
What do we think of like Donna's family partying without her? I feel like that's the saddest part of the whole episode.
It's yeah,
It's brutal.
Oh man, I love it because like she breaks down crying, and I remember the moment being like, I get it, like that's some bullshit. And then when she like winks at the doctor, it's like, oh, that's
But yeah, I get it though, because they're like, yeah, it's non-refundable. Like, what do you want from us?
And I guess they think that she's like she's having a go.
That's true.
Is
Right.
what they think.
That's true. But before that, like they have that really good, like the really cool rooftop conversation. And where she explains like, who she's marrying and how they met, and there's this like really cute meet cute, and I like that is ultimately like the big reveal at the end of the episode, where like, I mean, it's like fucked up. It's like this guy's been poisoning her for 6 months. But like the way that, like the way, I guess, like the different framing of it, like, because initially it's like, oh, that's really cute and romantic, and then like the truth of it is actually like really horrifying. Which I think is interesting. I don't know, man. This is a weird Christmas special.
Yeah, no, it is. What I like about the reveal, because like you get the meet cute, and it's like, oh, we talked about this, we had this in common, and the thing of like, oh, I bet he begged and he begged, but really it was like Donna chasing him, and then the reveal of like, I had to listen to you prattle on about bullshit for months. And Donna really, and I've said this again and again about RTD, but she, like Jackie and Rose, Donna sort of symbolizes to me or represents like the decency of just being like a boring, basic human.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like she is like the other girls.
Mm-hmm.
Like she does care about celebrity gossip and astrology and like is a little vapid and kind of really doesn't like is like, you know, is like cares about a wedding and being a bride. And I think it's so funny to see the villain being like, you're just a fucking boring ass regular human. And it's like, oh, he doesn't see the goodness and like the why like that makes her so great.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you look at like the other companions of her era, you know, your Amy's, your Clara's, like your, you know, like the most special, like not like the other girls. Donna's just so average in a way that I think really endears me to her.
Yeah. But it's also like, I don't know, no other companion has better like one-on-one, like low-key personal conversations with the Doctor like Donna.
Mm-hmm.
Like no other companion just like chills and is just like, so like, what's up with you, man? Like nobody talks to the Doctor like this. Like
right.
No one is this like soft and personal. Like as harsh as she can be, as like spiky as she can be sometimes, when she's soft, she's like really soft.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like all, you know, internal stuff.
Yeah.
And it's nice. It's very different from most
I mean,
companions.
like, I think because like early on when the Doctor is like trying to solve like the mystery of Donna, like he says that line about like, you know, like there's nothing special about, like there's nothing like unique about you or whatever. And then she's been like hearing that her whole life, you know, like that sucks. And then like for I think like, and then it comes back when her fiance or whatever is like saying like, you know, like you're just like a boring, like,
Lance.
you know, like basic white, you know, and I feel like the Doctor kind of like not like I don't know, like I'm trying to like synthesize it in my head, but like it feels like there's like the connective tissue, like where the Doctor like says this thing offhand about Donna, and then like Donna takes it like really personally, and then the Doctor is just like, actually you're like really cool, do you want to like come hang out in the TARDIS with me, you know?
That makes me think of Eleven's line in Christmas Carol. You know, I always like the idea that this person is growing with each incarnation, you know? And in 11, there's that iconic line where it's like, nobody important, blimey. Like, I've never met anyone who wasn't important, you know?
Yeah. We get that fun line where she's like, so we get two things that I think is like, you know, kind of standard Doctor Who new companion fare in this, but done in like fun ways. Like in this rooftop scene, you get this thing where she's like, man, wish that thing was a time machine. And the Doctor's like, yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, wow. That'd be wild. Which is great. But also I love the TARDIS is bigger on the inside reveal, being that like, because she gets teleported inside the TARDIS for the first time ever, and the only case that you could ever do this, she learns that it's smaller on the outside second.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she like comes out and she's like, wait a minute, what the fuck? What the fuck is this thing? I just love that. I think that's really fun.
It doesn't, I think it's Bill who has that really sweaty line where it's like, it's smaller on the outside. And the Doctor's like, oh, no one's ever said it that way before.
Yeah. I don't think that was Bill. I feel like that was, was that Clara?
Was it Rory? No, Rory was the one that's like, he knows about it.
For some reason, I feel like it was Matt Smith.
I think it was Clara because it's like very not like the other girls.
Right. I feel like that's in the Bells of St. John, that line. Yeah.
Can't wait.
That was pure.
Yeah.
That was pure muscle memory right there.
What if Wi-Fi was scary, guys?
Oh man.
I miscalled her name. I called her Maris, like in Frasier. But I love that Donna has like a rival.
Yeah, like an enemy.
Yeah.
Naris. Yeah,
God, that would be great.
who's like at her wedding dancing with her husband.
I would love an arc where, would have loved an arc where like Donna was the companion for series 3 with the Master, and the Master his wife ends up being her.
Oh,
like,
shit.
Naris.
Yes.
I fucking
What's up,
knew
shithead?
it.
I've got a special buddy. Yeah.
Naris, you
That's
idiot.
incredible.
Oh man. But it actually is really great that like the Doctor quote unquote loses the Master at the end of series 3 and then gets Donna back like as like a friend. Like he needs a friend now and he gets a friend, which is nice.
No, yeah, I love what Cass said about like whether it's because like yeah, when she apparates into the TARDIS at the end of the finale, it's like without even I love that without knowing it, they are both always going to be pulled through space and time to like be a friend for the other.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like platonic soulmates, and I love that for them.
I do think the title of this episode I don't love. I think it's misleading because she isn't a runaway bride. I think a better title would be The Impossible Bride. Just because like it literally starts with like, no, like how the hell are you here?
Right.
That doesn't what? That doesn't make any sense. Like calling her a runaway bride. It's also like it wasn't that long ago that like the Julia Roberts movie had happened
Right.
at this point. So it was just, I don't know. I don't love the title personally.
And an actual runaway bride is like a really fun idea, like Rachel from Friends, but like on the TARDIS.
I mean, that was literally Amy.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the word impossible is like that's like Moffat coded now for me.
Yeah, I get it. But if this was called The Impossible Bride, he would not have been able to call her the Impossible Girl.
Or the
Yeah, that wouldn't have been able to happen at that point. He would have been like, "Well, no,
God
Russell did
damn
that.
it! Like
I can't do that." And then we would have been saved from that stupid arc.
I don't know. He would have found a way.
Yeah. But Amy would have been, instead of the girl who waited, she would have been the runaway bride.
The runaway bride.
Amy Pond, the runaway bride, the girl who waited. Yeah.
Oh, can't wait. We haven't even talked about him coming back on the show yet.
I know.
But, like, I can't wait for more stupid titles for these characters that he creates.
Yeah. We actually have talked about it. It's already happened in the past. People are listening to this.
Oh, right. Yes.
Oh,
Yes. As of
yes,
recording, we haven't
timey-wimey.
seen the new series yet.
Right. Yeah. But it has happened. They've already know that it's our least favorite episode of the season.
Yeah.
And we're all
It
really
sucked.
bummed
He
out
sucks
about
now.
it.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's all about Brexit and how it was a good idea. It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway.
There's-
Yeah, and then it's like halfway through the story, right, that we get to the spider lady
Yeah.
and
He,
and
like-
find out like everything about Lance being a dick.
Yeah.
There's like the classic like, oh, we're going further than the TARDIS has ever gone before. Like they go to the formation of
Right.
the Earth.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of spiders at the center of the planet, which is horrifying.
Baby spiders.
Baby spider aliens. And
Yeah, it's like that. It would like basically they want to reenact that story from Scary Stories to
Always
Tell in
has
the Dark,
been.
where like the pimple is full of baby spiders.
shut the fuck up.
But on the scale of
Oh
the
my
entire
God.
Earth. Of like they're gonna burst out of the Earth and just start
No.
crawling all over the planet.
You're telling me, Scott, that you're asking for a Doctor Who episode where you find out that a giant celestial body is actually just a big
I'm not asking for that. That is what this is about.
Oh my god.
It's literally the plot
wow.
of this.
weird thing to
It
happen
really
twice.
is.
At least this one's not thematically linked to a controversial political thing. This is just like Spider's bad.
Yeah, I love that Lance or whatever is ready to risk it all for this spider lady.
I respect it, honestly. He's got a type.
I
Donna's
guess.
not it.
Oh man.
It's like when you see your ex on Instagram with a new person and you're like, oh, okay. I mean, yeah. Like, I was never going to be able to.
Yeah, right.
I do like the like prop or whatever, like whatever platform that actress is in, and like the spider body around it. That looks really cool. But I hate spiders, so
yeah. We don't ever actually see the baby spiders, right?
no, it's just like
Yeah.
vague noises coming through a hole in the earth.
Right, as they're drowned.
It's pretty economical in
Yes.
retrospect,
Yeah.
you know, in true Whovian fashion. I mean, like, she is really an underrated Who villain in terms of just like, yeah, like Cass said, balls to the wall, like commitment to the
Yeah.
bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I take umbrage because, you know, we've talked about the
This
Please.
is also the second episode this run of episodes where the plan involves the Thames and the core of the Earth.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. So what's funny
yeah.
is what this episode presupposes is the Daleks in Dalek Invasion of Earth would have gotten to the core of the Earth.
spiders!
Just would have been full of spiders.
Shit.
Oh my god.
They would have like cracked into it to like set their rocket engine going, and
just get eaten by
whoops, there's
spiders.
full of spiders.
You see a you see a Dalek nervously go through all of the charts and paperwork and be like, I don't know. It's not supposed to be there.
Wow.
Holy shit! Wow.
I think the real kind of like insidious part of what the Doctor does with this Queen is, so the whole time the Doctor has chosen not to make himself known. Like, I'm a Time Lord. I'm the Doctor. I killed, Gallifrey and Time War and all that. And the Doctor, then so she thinks she's like, and he thinks she thinks the Doctor is an Earthling. But then as soon as the Doctor is like, I'm going to give you one chance. And she's like, no, you're just a human. But then once it's like, oh no, you're a Time Lord. You guys are awful. Please spare my children. Like, I gave you a chance. And in my head, I'm like, but you didn't though. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's your responsibility under the Shadow Proclamation, whatever, to like because she knew immediately who you were. And like, you could have, if you had been like, I'm the Doctor, by the way, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I don't know. Maybe she wouldn't have, but I think he kind of like swung things around a little bit to err towards genocide.
The Doctor, he really sneaks up to the edge of genocide a lot. It feels like it's gotten to a point almost where it's like every Doctor has to face the Daleks and genocide. Those are the two things.
Sometimes both at the same time.
Sometimes both at the same time.
Say, yeah.
It's really weird that just keeps coming up. That idea. But yeah, it's a thing.
Oh, the Daleks, if he sucks them all into a black hole, it's not technically murder.
Right. Yeah. Anyway.
I think that like because of like the scope of Doctor Who now, and then like all of this Time Lord lore, and especially now that I'm interested to see how like the Timeless Child thing plays into this, but like at this point in the show's history, like he's the last one. So he like, and like this is kind of like his whole arc where he with the like he like I think grapples with the idea of like he's like the authority, like capital A, like
Time Lord Victorious.
Yeah, Time Lord Victorious. So like I like that. I mean, like, Donna doesn't actually stop him because, like, all the baby spiders die, but, like, she, like, pulls him back. Like, she makes him examine, like, what he's doing, I guess.
Yeah.
He's able to kind of leave his body for a second, see through Donna's eyes and be like, oh, yeah, this does look pretty
Yeah,
gnarly.
this is a bad look for me.
Yeah, because it is interesting too that this is the episode that sort of like sets up Waters of Mars.
Yeah.
Like the end of Waters of Mars. Like
Mhm.
it's weird that like it's this one that's just like random Christmas special.
I guess kind of there's a part in the Christmas Invasion where he's like, what kind of man am I? What kind of man am I? And then he like one warning, that's what kind of man I am.
Mhm.
When he like pulls the floor out from under that
Mhm.
dude.
Right.
Just setting up that, hey, this guy kind of has like a dark edge to him.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah, because it's also like, it's interesting because he's dealing with the fact that I don't think they've established this yet at this point, but like dealing with the fact that like in canon, he has killed all the Time Lords because it was either that or, that war would just go on forever, right? So he has to kill the Time Lords with the Daleks.
Mhm.
So he's dealing with that and dealing with like the emotional fallout of that, as well as the sort of like responsibility fallout of that, of like, well, the Time Lords, their whole thing was like being lords of time and making sure things were happening the way they were supposed to be happening. That was
Right.
their responsibility. And now that they're gone, is that my responsibility? Is that what I'm supposed to be doing?
Mhm.
And because that's like too much for one person to handle, I think he, goes off the deep end.
Right.
Yeah. So it works in when you like take a step back. I found it all kind of baffling in the moment before, all the Day of the Doctor stuff happened, and kind of like made all of this make a lot more sense to
Mhm.
me as like a character arc. But like, yeah, the retcons I think worked in this in Ten's character arc's favor. I think it makes everything work a little better. I don't know.
It makes a lot of the subtext like text. Right?
Yeah. That's kind of something we're finding a lot these past couple of runs of the show is things like the Day of the Doctor and the Timeless Child. Like, to the credit of those respective writers and showrunners, it really does kind of add flavor and color and context to the decades of the show prior.
Yeah. And it starts like syncing things up in ways that like they didn't before. They felt like messy stuff that people were just making up as they went along, because they were.
Right.
But now, like with that stuff, it's like it's really smart retconning that like just firms everything up into something that really makes sense. It's good. It's nice.
I know it's going to be like a while, but I'm actually like really curious now about how, because I haven't seen Day of the Doctor since we talked about it. So like I'm curious to see how my feelings on the War Doctor have like evolved since then.
Yeah. I mean, the War Doctor, it's just, I mean, we'll get there, but the problem with the War Doctor is that it wasn't meant to be the War Doctor. It was meant to be the Ninth Doctor, and Eccleston was like, no, fuck you, I'm not coming back.
Right.
They're like, well, it can't be the Eighth Doctor because that doesn't really make any sense for his character, so it has to be some other guy.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate that like, that required such a heavy retcon, but them's the breaks when an actor feels mistreated and doesn't want to come back to a production,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he did not have like a chill time on, as we would learn.
Right. So
I recently learned apparently the moment in Day of the Doctor where they're all in the gallery and they're all going back to their TARDISes, and the War Doctor said, "Which one's mine?" That was
incredible.
John Hurt. That's good. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
I think the reason this episode is always like just the ugliness of that finale always just puts a damper on like the fun Muppet Caper vibes of the first half of this.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas like those fun Muppet Caper vibes, he was like, yeah, that's the juice. I'm going to make a whole episode of that vibe when she comes back. And that's Partners in Crime. Partners in Crime is literally just the first half of this as a whole story.
Yes.
I think. Yeah.
And then we get our first name drop for Saxon in this one too. The very end.
Yeah, which was done in ADR apparently.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, like verbal name drop because he was also on a newspaper headline in a previous episode.
Oh,
Apparently. Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. I think in either Army of Ghosts or Doomsday, one of those.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Something about him like winning or being up for election or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then we get this whole thing where he like offers her, to be his new companion. She's like, "Nah, I'm good. You can come to Christmas dinner then." And he was like, "Oh yeah, totally. I'll just park." And she's like, "Cool. So you're not coming?" Like just like instantly like see through his bullshit.
Out. Bye.
Yeah, which I really like. Totally like a Donna thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But she's like, just do me a favor, like don't be alone because she kind of, it's funny because kind of like, hey, like don't be alone, like find someone. It's like, hey, if no one's around to see you do war crimes, you're just gonna keep doing war crimes. So like,
bring a witness.
Find someone.
Yes. Yeah. Man. Yeah. But yeah, it's also interesting because I'm thinking like she was getting married on Christmas Eve. So like was her honeymoon going to start on Christmas Day or was she going to
they were going
Christmas?
They were like going to go to like Spain or something. Cuz she doesn't like Christmas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. That's right. Fair enough.
Oh, we also get little morsels of like she doesn't remember any of the big crazy stuff that's been happening on the show.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Where she's just totally oblivious.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is pretty great. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we have any other thoughts on Runaway Bride? I mean, it's a good episode. It's just not a great Christmas special. I think it's just a good episode. Yeah.
And like we just talked about.
Like I was kind of like watching it in March, like felt a little weird, but then also the day I was watching it, we got like over a foot of snow. So like the vibes were pretty good.
Wow.
So yeah.
Nice. Well, if that threw you for a loop, next week we're talking about maybe the most Christmassy of all Christmas specials. And that is the 11th Doctor's A Christmas Carol.
I hate that.
Sorry, Nick.
It's going to feel like wearing a Christmas sweater in like April.
Yes.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. Yeah, man. So anyway,
I'm not supposed to celebrate the birth. I'm supposed to celebrate the death and resurrection.
All right. That's all we celebrate on Doctor Who is death and resurrection. That's the whole show.
Ooh, Birth of the Doctor. They haven't used that yet.
That's true. Yeah, that's because that's a scary title. That would freak me out. I'd be like, oh no, what is this gonna be?
This could be anything.
Oh Jesus.
Oh, I was thinking like Mr. Mom.
Mr. Mom?
Like someone is pregnant and gives birth to the doctor. Like Birth of the Doctor.
Okay.
That's the place. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like an origin story.
Yeah, that'd be crazy too.
Oh boy. There's no good version, I think, of that story. That would be scary. All right. Well,
oh no, you know what the Moffat thing to do though, is to call it like the Birth of the Doctor, and you're like, what the hell? What's that going to be about? And then it's like Craig, or someone as like someone's pregnant, and then at the very end, at the end of the adventure, they give birth to the baby, and it's like they named it the Doctor.
Yeah, totally. That's very Moffat-y. I thought you were going to say something about like he's just hanging out with the companion. She's like, has anyone ever celebrated your birthday? And it's just like a birthday episode.
Oh my God, that's so wholesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, all right. That would be a good like anniversary special title, actually.
People would be so mad.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people would be furious. But anyway, thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week with A Christmas Carol, whether you like it or not. And Yeah, join the Discord, the Patreon, duelinggenre.com/support. Like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. Thanks so much, and we'll see you then. Bye.